Thank you for Patreon now for donating to the Patreon.
Hey guys, it's Van Diesel back again with another Card Fight Vanguard deck profile. So if you guys enjoyed them, like, comment, subscribe, and let's start, shall we? This time we are covering Gold Paladin, Spectral Dupe, or in this case, Spectral Dupe. So, Spectral Dupe got revealed. Can't say I wanted it to be the reverse, and I can't say I expected it. All I can say is I'm both, impressed by its ability, but I'm also kind of, deterred from its ability. Deterred's the right word for this. I don't want to go near it. Yeah, it's just weird. I don't know. It's my opinion. I do agree with the comment I saw in the fandom. I'll say it later if I remember it. If I don't, then I'm sorry to the but he was the first guy to comment on Spectral Dupe. If you know who I'm talking about, then so be it. So anyways, let's go ahead and get this deck started, shall we? First up, we have our starter in Spring Breeze Messenger, grade 0 boost, 10k shield, 6k base. Auto and wrote upon a draw a card, then your opponent's Vanguard to go 1 grid, you get a quick shield ticket to your hand. Standard starter, nothing special about it. You get a draw, you get a quick shield. You can really be whatever starter you want as long as it has that skill, just because it's a good plus. I chose Spring Breeze Messenger because I just like Spring Breeze Messenger. I don't know why. I never used him in the original, but I just liked how he looked. And there's not a lot of starters we can pick from V. I really wish they gave us more starters from V, but V only lasted 4 years, 5 years most. It was 2017 when it started, and I think it was 2020 or 2021 when it officially ended, so at most it lasted 4 years. So yeah, Spring Breeze Messenger makes sense to be our starter. Then we have our trigger lineup in 2 copies of Foresight Courier as a draw, 2 copies of Dauntical as a front, 4 copies of Knight of Hard Forceful Fight Nalnes as another front, 4 draw PG and Halo Shield Mark, grade 0 boost, 0 shield, 5k base, continuous Sentinel, you can be forced on the deck, auto guard when placed, card 1 from your hand, whenever these cannot be attended to battle, so standard PG, nothing special about it. And then we have our 4 heals in Elixir Sommelier. Okay, here's why we don't run Heal Guardians. 1, I am emotionally bonded to Elixir Sommelier for many of reasons, so automatically that throws out every reason y'all have to give me Heal Guardians in this deck. I don't want to hear nothing from y'all. But anyways, the other reason why I don't run Heal Guardians is regardless outside of that joke or not, I genuinely just don't like Heal Guardians. They're very detrimental to my playstyle that I play with almost every deck, if not every deck. And running Heal Guardians would essentially be, they would be 15k shields that I won't use in the early game because most of my strategy comes from how much damage I take in the early game. The most they would stop me from doing is going to 5 damage, but half the time I don't hit 5 damage anyways. So it wouldn't really be much of a plus to me since they're useless after you ride to grade 3. That's essentially a 5k shield I've given up the entirety of the game. So why run a card that I'm never going to use compared to a card that I'm actually going to use that has a better shield value comparatively? So 4 Elixir Sommelier, if you want to run Heal Guardians because they fit for you, go ahead. There's no problem with running them. I just don't run them because they're bad for me. So yeah, 4 Sommelier. Then move on to our grade 1s. 2 copies of Little Battle of Tron. Okay, I don't know why. I feel like people shit talk Tron. I've never seen people shit talk Tron, but I feel like people just shit talk Tron. And if I am right, and people shit talk him, all I'm gonna say is this: all y'all clearly have never seen the Tron I've seen, because Tron is MVP in every gold deck I run him in. So grade 1 boost, 10k shield, 8k base, auto with rear when placed, counter boss 1, and gets +5 for the turn. Okay, he's a +5. Doesn't matter if he's placed by ability, doesn't matter if he's placed by anything, doesn't matter if he's placed from hand, deck, drop zone, fuck it, damage zone, he gets +5. All around, that's already a good skill. Yeah, it's a counter boss, so that's iffy, but he's at least a 13k swing. He can hit a force number. Hell, end of the game, the chips are down, he's your only card you can call him. He's a 13k swing. Fuck you, grade 3s. And then Auto Van or Rear, the ability that saves me in the early game and wins me the early game. Auto Van or Rear, when its attack hits, if your Vanguard's grade less than or equal to your opponent's Vanguard, look at the top card, call it to rear guard. That is so good in the early game. That is genuinely one of the best skills in the early game because not only does it put on hit pressure for a card that early, so they have to guard it, but if you're going second, you control the pressure the entire game, because since your grade will always be the same as theirs from that early game on, you will be able to not only attack them first, but keep up the pressure with Tron so that they're either forced to guard every single attack from it, or they have to start trying to kill it and guard it at the same time. You will literally control the pace with Tron if you go second. It is the best card in this deck when going second. I don't want to hear from none of you because I have literally seen this thing win me so many games off it. 2 of Tron, because if they let this hit, they are unleashing God knows what chaos. Then we move on to 3 copies of Listener of Truth Dindrane, grade 1 boost, 10k shield, 7k base, auto rear guard when placed by your card's ability, Soul Blast 1 to draw a card or counter charge 1 and gets +3 for the turn. Cool, so you can activate during main phase or battle phase, you can call it off Tron and get that counter charge and draw. All around, I like that. Typically, I use the counter charge to go in +3. I keep forgetting it gets +3 from that skill. Anyways, yeah, I typically use the counter charge skill because draws are not important to me at all. Like, even in decks that I have enough counter charging with, I will still actively choose to counter charge because you never know when the counter boss come back to bite you in the ass. Hell, my friend always asked me why I do it, and then he played a game with Dindrane where he doesn't counter charge. If he had done the counter charge, he would have won. My argument stood. His deck was the same as mine. The exact same cards, the exact same playstyle. He did the exact same way I did, except did that Dindrane move. He lost. That's not my fault, that's his. So, yeah, all I'm saying is this. Dindrane is like a really good grade 1. The draw skill is good, but I definitely do just prefer just playing that counter charge to go just because I can never have too much counter blast. Maybe that's because I was locked into counter blast for a long time, but yeah, it's fair. It's a good card, so 3F. Then 4 copies of Stronghold of the Black Change Hoel, grade 1 boost, 10k shield, 8k base. Continues rear your other unit in the same column as it that was placed this turn gets +5, and if you have advantage the Black Chain's Kahedin on your Vanner rear, the unit gets +10 instead of +5. So really good. That just means anything on that circle is +5, and if you add a Kahedin, that's +10. So it makes the unit on that circle far more aggressive. It can swing without a boost. That works really well with the deck that has a restanding Vanguard and or yeah, no, just a restanding Vanguard or a Vanguard that changes during the battle phase. So all around, Hoel is a really nice grade 1. I like him. He's probably one of the best grade 1s in this deck because he's free, he costs nothing, and the second he gets on the board, your opponent's probably going to try to kill him because that's honestly the thing that's going to kill him in the end because it's a free skill that will always activate. So 4 of Hoel. Oh, by the way, he says placed during this turn, not your turn. So if you superior ride during your opponent's turn, it counts. Just saying. So 4 of Hoel because it will be the end of their days. Then we have 4 copies of our main grade 1, at least on Van, in the case of Scout of Darkness Vortimer. Like I said, MVP grade 1 over here. Grade 1 boost, 10k shield, 8k base. Auto Van when placed, look at top 7, reveal to 1 Spectral Duke or Black Dragon Knight Vortimer from among them, add it to your hand, shuffle your deck. Why does this card hate me? I don't know why. Like when I played Spectral Duke back in the original, because I end up getting Spectral Duke, I had 2 copies of the grade 1 Vortimer. I had 1 copy of the rest of the line. And for some reason, this was the Vortimer I saw the most. Except now in V, where I have 4 of them, I literally rarely run into it. 1 in 3 games is where I will, well, maybe not even 1 in 3, either 1 in 3 or 1 in 5 games, I will see this card as my grade 1. Otherwise, I don't see it at all until like I hit grade 3. I don't know why. I don't know what this card has against me. It just has something against me. But auto when it's retired from rear by your card's ability, it goes so one of your next looks 5 for the turn. Okay. That is not particularly good or amazing because since half the cards in this deck require you to well, since the other main grade 3 would require you to lock instead of retire, that means he's only useful on Spectral Duke, and even then, golds usually have 1 card that can do retirings in V, and yeah, it's just Spectral Duke. So if you're not on Spectral Duke, this is essentially a vanilla on rear. But either way, he's really good because that gets you soul, he gets you 5k all around. It's a nice card because that means you have a constant influx of souls, so 4 of Vortimer, the grade 1. Then we have 4 copies of Knight of Strong Favors, Berengaria. Okay, I run her because I had fond memories of her when I played Gurgit. Take what you will from this. If you're wondering why I don't run the Liberator cards, it's not that I hate Liberators. It's specifically Bluish Flame Liberators I hate. And the reasoning for that is a very long rabbit hole that has to do with my hatred for Legion and my hatred for one very certain character whose name shall not be mentioned, but he is a French asshole and he deserves to die in hell. My words exactly to the letter. Anyways, Berengaria, grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 9k base, auto rear when placed by a card's ability, perform one of the following. Either counter blast 1 or soul charge 1 or soul blast 1, counter charge 1. Okay, you will never need to soul charge in this deck. You get plenty of soul. If you had, in the situation where you had to soul charge, that means you have not been using any other skills to soul charge and you've just been spamming Dindrane. But even then, you will still have soul. There is how many cards in this deck that outside of Dindrane actually soul blast? Guess what? None. Outside of Dindrane and this, none of them soul blast. You will not need to ever soul blast in this deck, or soul charge in this deck. Just soul blast 1, get your counter charge, move on with your life. 4 Berengaria if you manage to call her by abilities. Then we have 4 copies of Advance of the Black Chain's Kahedin, grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 9k base, auto rear when placed from anything, whether from hand, rear, hand, drop zone, damage zone, deck, by its own abilities. Doesn't have to be by its own abilities, but it can be by its own abilities. Counter blast 1, drop a card, look at top 3, call up to 1 card from under the rear, shuffle your deck, and if you called, sorry, not if you called a Hoel, but if Hoel is on your Vanner rear, draw a card. So, here's my story with Kahedin. it's either he will be the most useless grade 2 in the entirety of the game, or he will be the MVP grade 2 of the entirety of the game. And what I mean by this, either I will have one Kahedin, or I will see 1 or 2 Kahedins, one in the very early game and then one at the very end of the game, or I will see 3 of them consecutively by activating singly one. And what I mean by that, I call one to rear guard, use a skill, top 3, oh, one of them's a Kahedin, call a Kahedin, use that one skill, top 3, oh, one of them's a Kahedin, call a Kahedin, use that one skill, call top 3, okay, finally, I don't see a Kahedin, still see a really good grade 2. All around, Kahedin is straight up the MVP, he just gets me boards. He either gets me boards or he does nothing at all. But he also just gets the plus off of Hoel in the sense he gets a draw and he makes Hoel stronger by giving something plus 10. All around Kahedin, like I said, he's either really bad or he's really good. 4 of, because that is a chance I'm willing to worth take, because he is terrifying when he actually chooses to be useful to me. Because, yeah, board rushing when you're at grade 3 and they're at grade 2, the love of that is why I play golds alone. Then we have 4 copies of Black Dragon Knight Vortimer, hands down one of my favorite arts just because, like, he's a golden knight. I like the cape. I like those kind of scythe. I consider it more of a spear, but it is a scythe because it hooks at the end. But I really like that background because I can't tell if that's the sun or a moon, but either way that looks really cool because it looks like it's shining. Kind of looks like, it looks like a special moon. What am I trying to, like, kind of like a red-pink moon? I feel like that's a real thing. I know there's something called the red moon. Blood moon. I remember I saw a blood moon once. That's a long story. We can have story time with Ezel later, but yeah, I have seen a blood moon before, or like whatever that red moon is called. I can remember it distinctly too, because that was a fun night. Anyways, continuous Vander Rear. If you have a Scout of Darkness Vortimer in your soul, he gets plus 1k. So he's a 10k base, so that's really good that he can sit on force numbers and not die to him, or not die to them. And then auto when retired from rear guard by your card's ability, shove him to soul, countercharge one. Again, there's only one card that can do that, but that's really good that he shoved him to soul and countercharge. Basically, Berengaria, but better. Yeah, just good for Spectral Duke, because then that just refunds all of Spectral Duke's cost. And then auto and rode upon by Spectral Duke, look at top 5, call up to 2 cards from them to rear guard circle and shuffle your deck. So you don't have to call 2, but you can if you want to. And guess what? Kahedin doesn't have to be called from hand. Yep. Get bored. Or you can call this. Or you can call both, and then just refund Kahedin. Vortimer's really good grade 2. Here's my thing though. Before Vortimer, this grade 2 used to be like the one I would see the most out of all the ride line. Now suddenly it's become, after I added Dupe, I changed none of their numbers. Literally changed none of their numbers. And yet after adding Dupe, like it happened with Ezel's where I added Grand Ezel and I added more searchers and somehow I keep seeing them less, it's the same what happened with Dupe. I see the grade 1 less, I see the grade 2 less somehow, I barely see Spectral Duke anymore unless he gets on my Vanguard, and then I just start seeing all of them at once. I don't know how one card that shouldn't change that consistency manages to change that consistency, but it does. I don't understand it. Because I changed it out for Percival, but that shouldn't matter in the early game when half the time I'm not going to call Percival in the early game. So, yeah, 4 of Vortimer. Hopefully he stops going through his midlife crisis and actually shows him in my hand. Same with you, Scout of Darkness. You've been not pulling your weight, buddy. You need to pull your weight more. No offense. But 4 of both of them. Then on to our grade 3s. 4 of Spectral Duke Dragon, grade 3 Twin Dev Excel Gift, 12k base, continues Vanguard. If you have Black Dragon Knight Vortimer in your soul, he gets plus 1k, so he's a 13k base, meaning he can hit force numbers. So that's really nice that he can guard easier. Finally, an Excel deck learned. Took long enough, and I'm really glad it happened to golds. And then if your opponent's Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater, he gets plus 1 crit. So, if this is in your soul, he's a 13k base, and he gets a crit. Hell yeah. Just good. And you know what the best part about this is? I made a play with this where I swung and I killed this after using Spectral Duke's sand skill, shoved him into soul, got a counter charge, got that 1k, got that 1 crit. I don't know why I find that impressive. I just found it funny that I was able to do that. So all around Spectral Duke is really good just for that ability alone, being able to stand on a Vanguard number and to be a constant swing and double crit thing. So if you took my advice earlier and went second and then just spam them with Tron, whether they took it or not, they're going to have to deal with the double crit sooner or later. So they might as well just start taking the Tron because Tron's going to save them in the end or kill him in the end. Who knows? And then his other skill is Auto Van once per turn. At the end of the battle that he attacked into anything, Counter Boss 1, sack 3 rear guards. Okay, just sack these. Just sack 3 of these. Or just sack 2 of these. And just sack at least 1 of these, because that immediately means the cost was free. Or technically not free, but you didn't Counter Blast, and 1 of your rear guards just went into soul. So technically it was retire 2 rear guards, and if you killed 2 of these, then it was just retire nothing and Counter Blast of nothing. and just lower your board size. Stand him and you lose the drive for the turn. And if you had 4 more damage, it gets +1 drive instead of -1 drive. So he has the possibility to get quintet drive in a turn, and not to mention that he can just abuse the opponent with 13k double crit, and he combined with Hoel, that's 23k double crit. All around, that's a pretty good number. Just swing in double crit each time. You having the Excel gifts, making it more tax for your opponent, putting more pressure on them, making it so you're paying very little resources and that you're getting more drive checks to fill up your hand back with the stuff you're killing. All around, Spectral Duke is a really good grade 3. It's very strong. It's very cool looking. It's very good. 4 of. Then we have the one whose skill I question greatly. Not because I think it's bad. It's just because in comparison, it's like Formage, where I understand it's good, but in comparison to the OG, I think the OG personally is better. We have Spectral Dupe Spectral Dupe Dragon Reverse. Not Duke, Dupe. I do not understand why they called it Dupe. Literally, I auto-corrected it to Duke when I did the as on the vanity on it, and then even when I was making this deck profile, when I typed this out, as you can see, it has the red underline. It literally tried to auto-correct to Duke on its own. Even my computer understands that it's supposed to be Duke. I don't know why Bushy called it Dupe. That is the laziest name change that could have gone around it, but whatever. Spectral Dupe Dragon Reverse. Again, just lazy. Grade 3 turned out of Excel, I got 12k base. Like, okay, I can think of... I had a lot of names before this, but out of my just pure story time, I kind of got sidetracked. Continuous Vanguard. During your turn, if you have a Spectral Duke Dragon in your soul, it gets plus 10k, and if your opponent's Vanguard are good, it gets plus 1 crit. Okay, so he doesn't get the plus 1k benefit, which sucks, but on the bright side, he's at least a 22k base and double critical during your turn. Okay, obviously he can restand. I'm not going to say how, but unless you want to read it yourself. But at least that's a double. At least that's more power than Spectral Ducat on his own for those restands, and he still gets the crit. So that's still good. That's still good. And then Auto Van, at the end of the battle, he attacked into anything. Counterblast 1, lock 3 rear guards, stand him, lose a drive for the turn. Now you may be wondering, is that a once per turn? No, it's not. That's not a misprint. Unless Bushy chooses to make it a misprint by changing it. That's not a once per turn. So you can Counterblast 2. By the way, you just need 1 Excel gift to do this. You can Counterblast 2, lock 6 rear guards, he attacks twice. But guess what? If the game manages to go on long enough to where you got 3 Excel gifts, or 4 Excel gifts, you could Counterblast 3, lock 9, stand up 3 times. Why you would do that when 2 of those attacks wouldn't even have drive checks? I don't know, buddy, but that's 4 Vanguard attacks, all of them with double crit, most likely, and 22k swings. I think that's pretty much worth it, in my opinion. That's good skills. And then Auto Hand. This is a dumb skill, in my opinion. At the end of the battle, he attacked. If you have 5 more cards in your damage zone, if you are Ultimate Break, Counterblast 2, lock 3, superior item as stand, does not lose drives, and this unit's auto abilities cannot activate for the rest of the turn. Okay, here's my thing. That is most likely the skill they would have given it if he was an actual verse in the OG. Because back then, if it wasn't restricted like that, it probably would have been really broken. So I will give them that. That is a really good skill if this was back in the OG Vanguard. Except we are in V. Why lock away the auto abilities when you're signing away 2 of your counterblasts? Especially because the only the only Gold Paladin unit that can retire, to my knowledge, because I literally went through all of them just to make sure I wasn't missing anything for conviction, was Spectral Duke. Unless I missed one, Spectral Duke is the only grade 3 I can think of off the top of my head that can kill Gold Paladin rearguards. So, and the fact that this is your only countercharger, I mean, yeah, you can superior call Kahedin, but still, that costs more counterblast, by the way. Why? Why that hefty of a cost? Yes, you can spam it if you have more copies in hand. So fair. I could see that. But why? Why lock away his auto abilities? Because even then, even if you used a copy from hand, that's still only 3 attacks. And frankly, that's 1 more drive check more than Spectral Duke had. I don't understand why it specifies the auto abilities are locked off. Maybe Bushy had some unrealistic, especially because it's already locking 3 rear guards, but maybe Bushy had some bullshit unrealistic fear of something. They should have made this a named once per turn ability and then proceeded to not restrict the auto ability so it can get more multi-attack. Because the Rebirth can get 4 attacks, but that's perfectly legal, but this can't even get that without having to cheat. Why push this to 5? I don't know. It's just a questionable skill. It is good. I just question why specifically 5. when we don't have a way to die at 7 like fucking Gridon does. And why lock our auto abilities when that is not remotely necessary, considering it already costs counterblast 2. We can no longer use our counter charges normally, and we still have to lock 3 rear guards. So unless the game goes on long enough, you're not getting that multi-attack, or at least not a lot of multi-attack. So Spectral Duke is a questionable card in my mind. I still think he's good for that really aggressive push, but I just greatly question that last skill so much. But the second skill was really fucking good, considering that, like, that's overlord level bullshit. Not once per turn, just keep restanding Simon to their face. Then our Excel 1s, Excel 2s, to be honest with you, you're probably getting 4 at most. I doubt it if it went farther than that, but you run 6 just in case. So when they're required, they go top left, top right as new rearguard circles. That is a mandatory thing from Bushy. I don't know why they made this a ruling, but they did, and apparently they chose to. So with Excel 1, when acquired, the circle on that unit gets plus 10. Sorry, the unit on that circle is plus 10 during your turn. Okay. And Excel 2, when it's made, you draw a card and the unit on that circle is plus 5 during your turn. So this one gives us power, obviously, because this one gives 10, this one gives 5. But you get more consistency out of it because you get a draw out of it, meaning that you can at least call a rear guard to that Excel circle, even if you had nothing in your hand to begin with. So you can ride and get more columns, and then call something that you draw, especially if like the unit that you have in your hand is not the ideal unit to put on a rear guard circle. So that's the plus for Excel 2. You can run Excel, you can use Excel 1 if you want just to get more numbers. But to be fair with you, most of the time your attacks are coming from your vanguards, really. You're just going to kind of put pressure with these two. There's no real reason to pick Excel 1. I think you should just pick Excel 2. If you really think your opponent's going to kill you that quickly, go Excel 1. But like I said, main things are these things. So at least for forces, I would say Force 1. But yeah, no, Excel 2 is the way to go. Then we have our quick shield. Whenever you use its attack, it's plus 5k for the battle. No special battle, just a 5k shield. You typically use it for discarding, but considering most... Actually, no, use it for Kahedin. Just use it for Kahedin. Kahedin's the MVP for that. So if you don't use it for Kahedin, just use it for 5k shield. And that's it for the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. All around, it's interesting. It's definitely strong. It's weird. Like I said, I find the dupe weird. I like his second skill. I don't like his first skill solely because I like the defensive capabilities of Spectral Duke more, but I do still think the first skill was very solid for the offense. And the third skill, I kind of question a lot about the restrictiveness, because there are different ways we could have gone about it to make it so that the card was still good, but it didn't have those restrictions. So all around, the deck's pretty good. It's strong, get a lot of Vanguard multi-attack. It's just knockoff Overlord, and it's Gold Paladin's version of Overlord. If Overlord was allowed to get a Force Gift and for 2 Force Gifts on Van. That's pretty much what it is. That's what I would call it. Yeah. So I'm ending here. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join the Discord, follow Twitch, and I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to stand up your Vanguards.